Two and a Half Men was one of the most successful TV shows of all time, drawing in on average 15 million viewers per episode. But over the course of 12 years, the show took its three main characters to stratospheric heights and cataclysmic lows, to a point where the actor who played Jake had a religious awakening and begged people not to watch the show ever again. And although it gave Charlie Sheen an incredible career, it took it from him in an instant, causing him to have a severe mental breakdown. This is the lives ruined by Two and a Half Men. Now, it's no secret that this show was enormous. The show was created by a guy called Chuck Lorre, a producer who had seen moderate success up until that point, but truly became huge when he cast Charlie Sheen, John Cryer, and Angus T Jones in a show that he had written, directed, and produced himself. The program was well received by audiences, and it started making a few people a ton of money. As I mentioned, the show would average 15 million viewers per episode. That is huge numbers, and that is because the formula worked. Charlie was a womanizing bachelor, Alan was a pathetic sponge, and Jake was innocent and curious. Their on-screen chemistry was perfect, and people loved it. Angus T. Jones started his work on the show at age 10, and quickly became one of the highest paid child actors on TV, earning roughly $300,000 per episode. But this was arguably insignificant compared to Charlie Sheen's earnings. So when a TV show does well, there's a ton of money to be made, and Charlie Sheen was definitely getting the lion's share. At his peak, he was making almost $2 million per episode. Dude, there's like 24 episodes in a season. This guy was making $50 million a year for a couple months of filming. And this money has to go somewhere, right? Charlie Sheen was so proud of living like a playboy both on and off screen that he adopted some crazy spending habits. He bought numerous homes and cars across the globe and even had a Malibu home that he kept for partying. He would spend $2,000 per day on cocaine. He would hire escorts for $25,000 per night, and he'd spend his days just partying like a madman. A previous associate of Charlie said that he would cook his cocaine with baking soda in his bathroom to make crack. He would smoke it out of a makeshift pipe and be out of his mind. He would be mumbling incoherently and tweaking. He even spent $1,500 per day on a private chef, demanding that this guy make him extravagant meals, but then he would just be too sick to eat it. This behavior started bleeding out into the production of Two and a Half Men, where he would show up really late for call times or simply not show up for rehearsals at all. By January 2011, Charlie Sheen is on a very destructive path. He gets hospitalized with severe stomach pains caused by drug use and books himself into a rehab a few days later. All production on Two and a Half Men is immediately put on hold. And then out of nowhere, Charlie goes on this really weird tirade against CBS and against the show's creator, Chuck Lorre. He calls Chuck a loser, he calls Chuck a clown, and he even calls into Alex Jones's radio show and says this.
I've spent, I think, close to the last decade effortlessly and magically converting your tin cans into pure gold. And the gratitude I get is this charlatan, clearly someone who believes he is above the law. Well, you've been warned, dude. Bring it.
I fire back once and this contaminated little maggot can't handle my power. I wish him nothing but pain. Clearly I have defeated this earthworm with my words. Imagine what I would have done with my fire-breathing fists.
This, alongside his increased drug use, was the last straw for the network, and Charlie Sheen was officially fired. Over the next few weeks, he gets invited to do a whole bunch of interviews on different TV shows, and the full extent of his addiction comes to light.
It's like winning, I don't know, man. I was banging 7-gram rocks and finishing them because that's how I roll. I have one speed, I have one gear. Go. Because I'm me, I'm different. I just have a different constitution, I have a different brain, I have a different heart, I have a different, I get tiger blood, man. Wow, winning. Defeat is not an option. They picked a fight with a warlock. Duh. Winning.
What's your name?
Jaden.
Yeah, I'm Charlie.
Nice to meet you. Cool, man.
Hi, sweetie. How are you?
Good, how are you?
What's your name?
Tamara.
Tamara?
Uh-huh.
Hi.
Hi.
Awesome.
You're rad, man.
You guys are in a fight.
No.
No, we're not fighting. What's up with that tattoo? Let me see that tattoo.
Which one?
That one right here. Hell yeah.
So we'll come back to the replacing of Charlie Sheen's character, but first I want to talk about Angus T. Jones. Did you know that he was the first and only kid to audition for the role as Jake? He genuinely does play the part perfectly, and I think it's really cool how we get to see Jake age as the seasons progress. In November 2012, Angus went on to a radio program where he announced that he had been baptized, had become a born-again Christian, and did not want to appear on 2.5 Men anymore.
I'm on 2.5 Men. I don't want to be on it. Please stop watching it. Please stop filling your head with filth. It's bad news. It's bad news.
He would still go on to appear in a few episodes here and there, but seemed to have a complete change in lifestyle. So here's my problem with this. I think it's great that he had this spiritual awakening and he's put himself on a path that is making him a lot happier. But it's pretty convenient that he feels like this now after he's made like $20 million. If he made that money through filth, then surely he wouldn't want it anymore. Angus called himself a paid hypocrite, and I have to agree with him. So now the show is struggling. Charlie is gone. Angus is gone. So what do? They decide to introduce a new character into the story. Walden Schmidt, played by Ashton Kutcher. There was so much hype and interest around what the show was going to do next that the episode introducing this new character was the show's highest viewed episode ever, with 28 million viewers. I remember watching it, and as expected, it was pretty crap. I like Ashton Kutcher, but it was obvious it was not as good as the original setup. The final episode of 2.5 Men is considered by many to be one of the worst endings of a TV show of all time, and for good reason. The show had already become a cartoonish, goofy version of itself, and the last episode was used by Chuck Lorre to insult Charlie Sheen again and again and again, eventually finishing up the entire program with this scene.
Winning.
Just to put this into perspective, Charlie was fired from production in 2011. This episode aired in 2015. Chuck Lorre had held onto that grudge against Charlie Sheen for over 4 years. The feud was ugly, it was public, and it put a really negative end to what was otherwise a really good show. Funnily enough, Charlie and Chuck would end up reconciling years later, with Charlie and Angus T. Jones appearing in an episode of Chuck's new show Bookie, which aired in 2024. In the end, 2.5 Men gave Charlie an incredible career. It made him a multi-millionaire, but ended up being one of the biggest influences in his downfall. What's your thoughts on all of this? Did Charlie deserve all the criticism that he got? Do you potentially even like the Ashton Kutcher version? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.